Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining our third Crusader Coffee Series session. This is the last one of this week. Just a reminder, we have 6 more starting next Tuesday with the academic experience for some of our from some of our BC faculty. And I think what's a little unique about that one as well is the 2 speakers are also alumni. One of them is also an alumni and current parent, soon to be an alumni parent with 2 boys. So that is next Tuesday. But tonight, we are very happy to have Mrs. Whitney Niles, a member of our guidance department. She's in her 3rd year at Bergen Catholic in our guidance department. And she's going to talk a little bit about the role of the guidance counselor at Bergen Catholic, what you'll be able to see from the guidance counselors throughout the 4 years at Bergen Catholic, how they help emotionally, academically, socially, and then eventually the piggybacking last night with college as well. So at this time, I'd like to hand it over to Mrs. Whitney Niles.
Thanks, Matt. Good evening. Before I begin, again, I'd like to thank Mr. Rosa for inviting me to participate in tonight's Coffee House series. It's truly an honor to be able to speak with you, and hopefully after tonight, you walk away with a little bit more understanding of what the department consists of and how we are best able to help your sons throughout their 4 years at Bergen Catholic. First, I'd like to give you some information about our department. Besides Mrs. Tarameka, who is the Director of Guidance and the Student Success Center, who is currently on maternity leave. She is scheduled to return toward the end of September. We consist of 3 counselors, Mr. Eric Crawford, Ms. Catherine Smallman, and myself. Now, each one of the 3 of us hold a caseload, and we directly assist students in their social and emotional well-being throughout the 4 years that they're with us. I would ask that tonight, if you have any questions regarding the Student Success Center, that those be directed specifically to Mrs. Maka, and she'll be more than happy to answer your questions. So our role in the guidance department is to assist each student, and by extension, each family, in meeting the spiritual, academic, social growth, and development goals of each young man living in the mission of Bergen Catholic. Now, although we do each have our own caseloads, which again, we carry for the 4 years that your son will be with us, we do make ourselves available to see any student should the need arise. So there have been many times when a student will look to speak with a counselor when they have an issue or a concern, and they need that immediate assistance, and their scheduled counselor is unavailable. So what happens then is our doors are available to your son so they can come and see us when the need arises. So they're not left alone for a significant amount of time. Of course, that's not to say that we allow students to leave class willy-nilly and come and talk with us. Preferably, we have students schedule an appointment either via email or just poking their heads in throughout the day, asking for us to schedule a time. What we do is we try our best to schedule a time convenient for them. However, we do understand that emergencies arise, and we are always there to help out should that be the case. Okay. That being said, what we tell the boys is that we're here for whatever they would like to speak to us about. So we can help with any issues they might have. We can work through any problems they might have as well. But we're also there to help them celebrate the victories that they bring to us throughout their time, throughout the school year. So there's nothing we enjoy more than hearing your kids or our kids come and tell us about their experiences, the games, the matches, the trips, the little victories that they have throughout their day or throughout their school year, along with bringing us any issues or troubles or concerns they might be having. So when students come to talk with us about any issues or concerns with regard to schoolwork, we take the time to brainstorm and work with them on how to approach the situation. They might need that time with us to see the situation differently. They might need the time with us to understand what their responsibilities are in the situation at hand. And we also help guide them through talking and reaching out to their teachers and working with them to find a resolution to their problem. Again, we do work with the students and we are their advocates, but we are mainly there to help them grow socially and emotionally to be able to learn to self-advocate, because we believe that that is a very important part of the 4 years of high school. We are also just a very simple, safe place for the boys to come and vent. So if they're having any problems, they just want to come and sit and talk, we are there to certainly listen to them. Throughout the 4 years and throughout each individual year, we meet with the boys in small groups, specifically by grade level. We also go into classrooms to do presentations on Naviance. We also do academic advisement. And as Mr. Rosa said earlier, we do help with the college application process. And just to give you all a little heads up as to how we've been handling the guidance department since we've gone virtually, with the ability to work with the boys through Blackboard Collaborate, which is the platform that our teachers use in order to hold their classes, we are able to schedule time one-on-one with the boys and sit and speak with them in a relatively quiet environment while they're home throughout this time. We do understand that the transition to high school can be very difficult for some. So in that regard, we work with our students on what is being asked or required of them in 9th grade and beyond to make sure that they understand the responsibilities and all the responsibilities that being in high school bring. We also work with them to make sure they understand everything that's being offered to them at Bergen Catholic, from extra help after the school day with their teachers, to the importance of volunteering and community service, to working with them with Mr. Powers in the religion department to possibly coordinate some trips as Mr. Powers does with Justice Works down to Appalachia. And also we work with the boys to create that level of community and brotherhood that Bergen Catholic is really known for. Again, as I had said prior, we do work directly with Mrs. Beth Walter, who is our Director of College Counseling, helping our boys through every step of the college application process. We also sit in and work with her on her evening and in-class programs throughout the school year. So you may see us bouncing in and out of those as you take advantage of them. So in each of the 4 years your son will be with us, the guidance department makes sure they are making steady progress, not only academically, but also socially and emotionally as well. Now, finally, what I'd like to just bring up before I start taking questions, which I'm hoping that some of you have, the more that your son gets to know their counselor, the better the relationship will be, okay? We're here to help your sons learn to advocate for themselves, which not only is beneficial in the high school realm, but also in college and moving on to employment. And since we carry our caseload through all 4 years that your son will be at Bergen Catholic, we are in the unique position of being able to see them grow and mature throughout their time with us at Bergen Catholic. So we get to build these very strong relationships with not only your student or your son, but also your families as well. So guidance is basically there to help you with any questions you may have, to advocate for you and your son, should you feel that to be necessary, and also to lend an ear to your son and to you, should you have any concerns or you just wish to just talk. So hopefully that gave you a quick little overview of the guidance department at Bergen Catholic.
Thank you, Mrs. Niles. So now at this point, I'd like to open it up to everybody who may have questions. You can ask any questions to her regarding the guidance department process, scheduling meetings, what those specific classroom presentations entail. So please, at this point, feel free to ask any questions you might have. So while we're waiting on some questions, a couple of things we can talk about. So Naviance, with regards to Naviance, what are the specific steps for the students in terms of how you start them with the Naviance process and what are the specific meetings that take place in order to make their Naviance profile?
Absolutely. So Naviance is the platform that we use to communicate with colleges through the college application process. So Naviance is extremely important, not only for colleges to get their information from us, like letters of recommendation, our school profile, and your student's transcript when it comes to the application process. But Naviance also allows the student and in turn the parents to be able to research schools that they believe will be a good fit for their son. So what we like to do is go into the classes and have the students work on something as simple, but really is quite challenging, is creating their personal resume. And as we tell them, you know, their resume will look very, very different from mine. Their resume is mainly volunteering, community service, any kind of outreach, any kind of experience that they have had that has made a meaningful impact on them. So from 9th grade through 12th grade, we work on the creation of their resume. As the years progress, both sophomore and junior year, we work with them on something called the Career Interest Profiler, which is questions, basically a very quick question and answer regarding their likes and their dislikes to give them the opportunity to get a feel for what a potential major in college or a potential career path would look like. So we do work with them both sophomore and junior year on things like that. Again, in senior year, we go back into the classrooms, and what we do is we link their Common App account with their Naviance account, and again, show them how that process of the application process to colleges works using that platform.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So a little bit more on Naviance. So as you continue to do that in terms of the school years as they go on, what happens in sophomore and junior year as they get closer to that application process?
Sure. So again, it's a matter of not only those career interest profilers and the do what you are Q&A that goes on, but we show them the ability, and especially now with everything going very virtual, we show them the ability to research different colleges. So there's part of Naviance is the ability to put in a bunch of different information for college searches that is specific to the student or specific to the family of the student. Location, cost, private versus public, liberal arts versus non-liberal arts education, what kind of majors they're looking for, and really come up with a very solid list of schools that they feel fit their son or fit themselves pretty well. You know, it's a matter of casting a very broad net when it comes to colleges early on, and then kind of weaning that net down and making it smaller, so that way when they finally look to apply early senior year, late junior year, that the application process is not that overwhelming for them.
Okay. So in terms of the student's course placement,
yes,
how does the guidance department kind of help the students with their course placement once they're at Bergen Catholic? I know that a lot of students, when they come in as an 8th grader, it's based off of their 6th, 7th, and 8th grade transcripts,
correct,
BT scores, and placement tests. But once they're at Bergen Catholic, since you can kind of move based off how you're doing, how does the guidance department help with that?
Sure. The guidance department works in conjunction with the teachers and the department chairs to figure out the best fit for the student. So if we have a student who is absolutely killing it in their classes and they are not feeling necessarily challenged, we will work with them to figure out their next steps. So we are less likely to move students throughout the course of the school year, but more apt to move them at the end of the school year when they have proven themselves in that specific course to either a higher level or maintaining where they are. So it's a matter of working with the student and with the parents in conjunction with the teachers, because the teachers do see them, obviously, throughout the school day, they understand the work that they are capable of, and how much to push and how much to challenge. So it kind of, all puzzle pieces need to come together in an agreement as to, how far the student would like to go. What are the courses that are available to them? So right now what we're doing is we are in the process of working with Mr. Spiegel to schedule the rising seniors for their what is that? I'm sorry, I've just lost it.
Their senior year courses.
Thank you. Oh, so easy. And I blew it right there. So what we're doing is we're all working together to make sure that those courses fit them and also fit the schools that they are looking to apply to. So not only is it guidance, Mr. Spiegel, the department chairs and the teachers, but Ms. Walter also plays a significant role in that as well, because she is that piece of the puzzle with her knowledge and her background on what these colleges are looking for, to make our students even more of a great fit for their school. So our students are highly regarded when it comes to college application process, and they know what they're getting when they accept one of our students or when they see one of our students. So it really is important for all of us to be on that same page to make sure that the schedule and the courses that the student is looking to take or is in process of taking really fit well for everybody.
Excuse me, I have a question.
Sure.
It kind of in reverse to that scenario is, my concern is with my 8th grader going into honors courses and he's may flounder, what happens?
Sure. So when I said that, we are loath to, in the middle of the school year, to start shifting around scheduling, we do understand, however, that there's a certain bar that the boys need to meet. So the very beginning of the school year is to me one of the most important parts or most important times, especially for incoming freshmen, because they're being challenged in ways they might not have been challenged prior. And they're being asked to do things that they might not have been asked to do prior. So for example, you might have an 8th grader who was knocking it out of the park in honors and high honors classes, gets to Bergen and seems to falter a little bit coming in, because it's a little bit more work, it's a little bit more time, it's a little bit more effort needs to be expended by the student. And that's kind of where guidance comes into play. And we can sit down, normally we would sit down or work virtually at this point with the student and make sure that they are using all of the available resources that we have. I've never worked with a group of teachers who have been more willing to go above and beyond for the kids in their classroom. So we have teachers who obviously they stick around after school, and kids are allowed to be in the classroom and ask for extra help and work alongside of these teachers. But we also allow the kids, if they want to find a different teacher who in that same discipline, maybe that works better for them. We do also have peer tutoring too. So we will have part of being in an honors society is a requirement to do peer tutoring. So we also sync up upperclassmen with underclassmen or lowerclassmen for peer tutoring in the different disciplines. So before we have a student who gets too overwhelmed or gets to the point where they kind of want to throw up their hands and say, I don't want to do honors courses anymore, I really can't handle it, we try to walk them through the process of, well, have we tried this first? Have we gone and spoken to the teacher? Have we done a little, have we advocated for ourselves with the teacher? If so, okay, let's see what next steps are. Maybe the teacher can pair them up with an upperclassman who's gone through that class already, or go the peer tutoring route with one of the honors societies that we have. So we are less apt to just walk away, but we're more apt to being proactive and seeing how we can handle the situation better.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So last night we had Ms. Beth Walter talk a lot about the college counseling department. And then we also have our guidance department, which also helps with the college application process.
Right.
But sometimes parents might be a little confused on what the difference is between college counseling and guidance. Would you be able to talk a little bit about the difference between the two?
Sure. So Ms. Walter works directly. What she does in the process of all of this is she has tremendous contacts with schools across the country. She's a member of NACAC. She's a member of a bunch of associations that allow her to get the real in or the skinny on what is going on in the world of college applications. So she normally sits down with juniors and underclassmen parents as well, and kind of works to create that that transcript that schools are looking for. Okay, the way that the guidance counselors or the guidance department works alongside of Mrs. Walter when it comes to college applications is we are the ones who write the letters of recommendation. Okay, along with teachers. We are the ones who make sure that the applications, the supporting documents for the application get sent out. So we trigger the transcript to be sent, the letters of recommendation to be sent. We make sure that the documents, the hard documents, go through Naviance, which is the platform that we use. So we work in conjunction with Mrs. Walter when she has these meetings with the different parents or families of our students. By all means, if we're invited to sit in, we absolutely do sit in. So that way we're all we're on one page. We create that web of support for not only the families, but also the student to make sure that the application process goes as smoothly as it does.
So another question too, and that we've seen a couple of things happen this year at Bergen Catholic where we've really had to come together as a community.
Correct.
How does the guidance department play a role in something like bereavement for students?
Sure. That hits me really close to home because the student in question was my student. We are there to support our boys. Excuse me. We are there to support our boys how we can. In the case of this past year, when we had a death of one of our seniors, and a lot of us took it exceptionally hard. That was when, in my opinion, the true community and the true brotherhood of Bergen Catholic really came alive. And we not only supported each other, we were able to, as a guidance department, bring in what's called the flight team, which is a bunch of other counselors, psychiatrists, therapists, counselors who came in and sat with our boys and were there to help them work through that bereavement process. We were there at the side of the family at the time that they most needed us. Our boys really, when that took place, our boys really shined. It was really a very, very powerful, very moving opportunity for us all. And it wasn't just, bereavement isn't just something that happens in that instant. It carries and it kind of bubbles up to the surface when people least expect it. So, it's a matter of, again, it goes back to getting to know these kids and getting to know your sons as well as we do over the course of 4 years, to know when they're having a moment, they need some time, they just want to come in and sit and have a quiet place to be. It also was an opportunity for our teachers to shine as well, because we would get little blips throughout the day of, I think so-and-so needs a minute or needs some time. And we would come in and we would support them however we could. And as that was happening, we did reach out to the families and let them know that, we were counseling and we were working with their sons throughout that issue.
So another question now is, you talked a little bit before about the distance learning, and I think a lot of people have talked about what we've done in terms of our distance learning on a daily basis to really bring normalcy to Bergen Catholic.
Correct.
How have you scheduled meetings with students? I know that there's is there an allotted time in the day where they can meet with you? How do you schedule those? Is it more like through online, and how do those really work?
Sure. So what we do is we do our best, both when we were in the building and now that we're virtual, to not pull students out of core courses unless there is truly an emergency. So because again, sometimes the anxiety level ramps up if they come out of a classroom situation. The anxiety level doesn't go away because now we're anxious over whatever we've missed during class time. So we've been seeing the students in between classes. We also have that hour at the end of the day. We also check our emails incredibly regularly, but it's that, again, working together to make sure that the boys know that we are available. So at the very beginning, when we first went out and we went virtual, it was a matter of just sending very quick emails out to everybody and letting them know, this is what we're doing. We are still available. We are still here for your sons. We are still here for you. Here's our link. Here's the collaborate link. Drop in my room when you can. And then it turned into specific targeted emails to certain kids, making sure and checking in that we were doing okay. And then it turned into teachers saying, I'm having a bit of a problem with this one. He seems like something seems amiss, or I just want to confirm that he has the access or the resources available in order to make this fly. So there was a bunch of different levels when it comes to supporting the boys that we've been doing while we've gone virtual.
Awesome. And throughout the school year, are there any programs where it's not so much going into the classroom, it's not so much one-on-one, but are there opportunities with the guidance counselors to kind of meet with classes, per se, like the entire group of students, to really get to know the counselors if the kids don't necessarily feel comfortable coming to your office,
right.
Scheduling a meeting, so really those opportunities?
So what we've done in the past is we've done something called Cookies with a Counselor, where after school we would have an opportunity to meet with each individual class. So the freshman class, the sophomore class, junior class, and senior class, down in the cafeteria where we would have snacks waiting for them. And we would kind of, rotate and walk around and make sure that the boys were doing okay. Something also that's similar yet different is we're accessible throughout the day. So we're not just again, back in the building, we're not, tethered to our desks or tethered to our offices. So some of us do CAF duty first thing in the morning, or we do lunch duty in the middle of the afternoon. We are strategically walking around through the building, which might seem a little odd, but it gives the boys the opportunity to either casually run into us or see us as someone outside of just being behind a desk. To just me speaking personally, I love going and seeing the boys when they're either performing or when they're playing sports. So you'll see me, you'll see me at hockey games, you'll see me at baseball games, you'll see me at football games. I've been to basketball games. I've actually gone and seen our golf team tee off, which I don't think anybody else has ever done. So we do kind of get out there and let the boys see us as someone other than, you gotta go to guidance. So it's one of those opportunities to kind of build relationships with the kids on multiple levels.
So the last one that I'll use, I know you talked a little bit about Mrs. Maka dealing with the Student Support Center, but the relationship with Bergen County Special Services. So for students who might have learning accommodations, how does that play a role with how the guidance counselor works with the Student Success Center?
Sure. So the Student Success Center, again, overseen by Mrs. Maka, has 2 teachers in it, plus a teacher from Bergen County who comes in and helps with math. We are able to provide certain services for the boys. Before the school year starts, all teachers are required to take a look at service plans of the student so they understand the student a little bit better on a deeper level. If there are any kind of, meetings throughout the school year with Bergen County Special Services, a guidance counselor is normally present at those meetings. So we work, again, in conjunction with the Success Center to create that web for those students, especially the ones who get those extra services through the county.
Awesome. So one last question. So we talked a little bit about the difference between the guidance counselor and the college counseling. We talked a little bit about specifics to academics and transcripts and your resume, but talking about the resume, is guidance able to help the student with potential high school internship opportunities that can be put onto applications? How can they potentially help with those? Is through colleges or college programs, stuff like that?
Sure. So we continuously get emails and updates from colleges with regard to summer programs that we keep a consistent list of. We also get we get communications from colleges regarding internship opportunities and abilities as well. We also, because we are known as much as we are in Bergen County in northern New Jersey, we do get emails sent from companies and businesses in the area that are looking for kids to do summer internships or to do part-time work after school. So we have a running list. We have that opportunity should kids want to do something like that. Especially now with everything going virtual for colleges, at least for summer, the possibilities are endless. They truly, truly are. If you're willing to spend the time and spend a little money and spend your summer learning something, there's a college in the area or across the country that I'm sure would be a very good fit. That being said, we do have some schools that are the top tier Ivy League schools who do these summer programs, and they are very intensive, and they are also very, very challenging to be accepted to. So just because they're a summer program does not necessarily mean they take everybody. There's still a pretty weighty application process. And again, there's still things that they are specifically looking for when it comes to bringing students onto their campus for even summer programs. So the opportunities are there. We can certainly help with that level of outreach. But, in my mind's eye, nothing is really a given. So.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Niles, for all of your dedication tonight in helping us with our Crusader Coffee series and helping us with kind of learning the role of the guidance department. Before we close, this is kind of a broad question.
Okay.
What is your favorite thing about being a guidance counselor at Bergen Catholic?
Wow. Matt, you didn't tell me you were going there, right? You could have given me a little heads up before this one.
Had to end with a tough one.
I'll say this. My background is in education. So for 7 years before becoming a guidance counselor, I was a language arts educator. I taught in Newark and I taught in Hoboken. So I have always had a very strong passion and belief in education. And while I was working as an educator, I realized and I found a lot of my students would come to me outside of the classroom time and sit and talk to me. So my passion really is helping kids kind of see things a little differently, to attempt to de-escalate the situation, to kind of work with them through a problem to see its solution. And for them to realize that, nothing is as terrible. Everything is terrible in the moment. Everything is a big deal in the moment. But once you can kind of get past that and see it with a clear eye and kind of take the emotion out of it, you know, and be able to breathe that sigh of relief at the end and go, wow, it wasn't that bad. And I did it all on my own. I think that's pretty powerful to help a student, help a person get to that point.
Knocked it out of the park. Mrs. Niles, thank you so much for spending your evening with us. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. That's the end of tonight's program. Just a reminder, this coming Tuesday, June 2nd at 7 p.m., we will have Mr. Jorge Mascaro and Mr. Mike Russoretto, both alumni, Mr. Mascaro, class of 1984, and Mr. Russoretto, class of 2010. And they'll talk about the academic experience of Bergen Catholic from the teacher's lens, and also more specifically the virtual learning that we're doing now and what could potentially be done in the future should that be something we kind of have to do as we get towards that new normal, as we hear so often. So that will be Tuesday at 7 p.m. So we hope you all can join us on Tuesday for that Crusader Coffee series. Again, thank you everyone for joining us, and have a great night.